everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the So She Slays podcast. I'm Heather.
I'm Chauncey, and today we have our friends, our slay queens, and we're going to talk about motherhood and how everything motherhood is, the good, the bad, the pretty, the gorgeous moments, and also like
the super real and ugly truth.
Yes. So today we have our amazing three friends, and I can honestly say friends, just not like contributors, like our actual dear friends. And feel free to introduce yourself. Shan, you go first.
Hi guys, thanks so much for having me. I'm Shan. I'm the CEO and founder of Shades by Shan Cosmetics in San Francisco, and the Mama Berries nonprofit foundation. So whenever you purchase Shades by Shan, a percentage of our proceeds goes to help single parents in need. I'm also a well-known TV and radio host in the Bay Area. And I'm a mom to my baby boy, Mateo, who is 13 months old.
Hey guys, Christina Wilds. Yes, thank you for having me. I love whenever you guys ask, I'm here because I love So She Slays. I am a children's author and writer, and also the founder of Tristan's Book Club, which is a children's book club named after my daughter, Tristan, who recently turned 2 years old. And I'm just excited to talk to you guys, these other moms, and really get real about motherhood.
My name is Tanessa Shears. I am a health consultant, and I work specifically with entrepreneurs to help them deal with brain fog, wake up well rested. And I do that using biohacking. So a lot of fun doing that. I'm currently 25 weeks pregnant, and I have a just turned 2-year-old at home. Her name is Hannah. We had the full Frozen themed birthday on the weekend with like the Let It Go playing in the background the whole time. So we're immersed in the Disney and the motherhood right now.
Oh my geez.
That song works my nerves. So God bless you for that. That song gives me nightmare.
I wanted to hop into this conversation. It's super important, I feel like, that we bring some realness to this topic, because I feel like it's all sugar coated and it's all put together, all lovely and nice. And in the theme of celebrating mothers for Mother's Day, I think it's super important too that we hear from these mothers that we've talked to, we've had on the show, about their own personal experience. Warning, we may get a little graphic, so if this is not your jam, go ahead and turn it off.
And honestly, we're ready for the truth of motherhood. We want to hear what, like, all the great things, all the bad things, like everything, because motherhood is not easy, and people need to know like the real viewpoints of women, especially women who are starting families and have their own business. That's important.
Okay, so let's start off. Okay. What are some of the ugly truths that you wish you knew before you became a mother?
I think it might be fun to start at the beginning, like the getting pregnant or the pregnancy part of it, since it's like at the beginning. And I know for me, being in my second pregnancy, like, I don't think I was properly prepared for the difference between a first and second pregnancy. Like, my first pregnancy went pretty smooth for the most part. You know, I'm a boot camp instructor as well. So I was teaching like fitness classes up until like 5 days past my due date. And I had all of this energy. And then all of a sudden I'm in my second pregnancy now. And I'm like, where is this second trimester glow that's supposed to happen? And this like energy that I kept telling, you know, I felt with the first pregnancy, I was like on fire during that second trimester. And now I'm just like, can I get a second nap today?
You know what? I had to sleep sitting up because they advise you to sleep on your left side. Eventually, my left leg started hurting, which made my whole body hurt. I had the pregnancy pillow. I was like, I'll be fine. It just did not work for me. And of course, they don't encourage you to sleep on your back. So I literally, like, I'm sitting up in this chair, I would just sit in my bed and go to sleep like this because it was so uncomfortable for me to sleep on my left side. I'm one of those moms or people who are like, they said I have to sleep on my left side, so I'm not going to sleep on the right.
Yeah, the interesting thing about, like you said, with the pregnancy pillow, I don't think anybody also warns you how big that thing is, and that if you have anything less than a king bed, your partner needs to sleep on the floor because it's huge. And then beyond that, trying to turn over in your last trimester of pregnancy, like, I didn't realize that you moved and then your belly moved, and it kind of needed to be something that you grabbed with both hands and took with you. And then trying to stay asleep while like lugging a stomach back and forth across it, that was like, okay. And then you take the pillow and then you got to jam it between your legs again and then kick your feet out from the sheets. Like, sleeping is just it's a whole other beast, especially when you start.
I am disgusted for this right here. I'm just like, what?
Oh
I
yeah.
can barely sleep as it is. I'm not even pregnant.
I guess the one thing no one told me was that I was actually pregnant. I had no idea I was
You don't
pregnant.
even know. Shan's story is crazy.
It's wild.
And
It's like
lightweight
a
freaks me
TLC
out.
show.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
know I was pregnant.
basically I found out when I was 5 months pregnant. You know, I thought I just was, you know, I was chucking it up to like, you're in your 30s now, like stop eating bread and cheese. I'm bloated all the time.
Hot Cheetos.
I couldn't drop the weight, the hot Cheetos. I went to the doctors to try to get off birth control or try to change my birth control because I was actually on birth control at the time. And I was like, you know what? I think it's my hormones. I'm not able to lose weight. I'm going to the bathroom all the time. She never thought to give me a pregnancy test. And she sent me to a bladder specialist for my frequent urination. And she put me on the pill. I was on the patch before. Then I go to the bladder specialist. He puts me on Flomax. I was on that for a month. He goes, if that doesn't work, come back. I went back. He didn't give me a pregnancy test. So that, fast forward 5 months later, I finally took a pregnancy test at home myself, and boom, I was pregnant. So finding out at your 20-week ultrasound that you're pregnant was the craziest moment of my life. So that was shocking.
People's faces are just
I know, like everybody's jaw is dropped, right?
When we first heard this story, Trust and Believe, we're like, wait, what? I remember
like,
texting her, I was like, you're
what
pregnant?
is happening?
And she's like, I'm pregnant. I was like, wait, like I just saw you.
Yeah, you were just partying in Tahoe. Like,
yeah, I saw you
like,
out in the streets.
I found out I was pregnant. I had a gender reveal, a baby shower, and I gave birth and had to wrap my head around the fact that I was becoming a mother all in 4 months.
Even like, so women have postpartum after pregnancy. So I can't imagine the postpartum you had after that. That's a lot.
Yes. So I always heard the term postpartum, but I didn't really know what it was. You just have these roller coasters of emotions. And I didn't feel a bond with my son till maybe he was, I don't know, 6 months old. Because I gave birth, I pushed for 19 minutes. And this thing came out and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I'm a mom now and I'm supposed to love this being. And I'm like, it's messed up to say, but when you're in that position, your mind goes there. You see all these pictures on social media of, oh, I love my baby and this is so cute, and like all these newborn shoots and all that, and I'm like, I fucking hate my life right now. Like, I didn't ask for this. And the breastfeeding, can we talk about the breastfeeding, you guys? It is the most painful thing I've ever endured in my life. I don't know about you guys, like Tanessa or Christina, was it painful for you guys?
It was painful, but she latched. So I felt like I got over the first hurdle. Like, oh my God, she latched. We're here. Let's do this. And my mom kept telling me, she was like, just get past the first 2 weeks and you'll be fine. Just get past the first 2 weeks. But what they don't tell you is then if you choose to continue breastfeeding past a certain amount of time, they start growing teeth. And they don't understand I'm biting on your nipple.
I had to go to a lactation consultant like multiple times. I had tears on my nipples and it felt like an open wound that you were pouring lemon juice and salt on every time that they would breastfeed. And it was the most painful thing that I remember one point my mom had to literally come and take him out of my arms because I was like, ah! And then on top of this, you're supposed to pump. Okay, so not just the breastfeeding, but the pumping right after. And you're like, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel here.
Okay, so in full being vulnerable, I had a breast augmentation in my early 20s, and there was some nerve damage resulted, and didn't feel a damn thing. So
that's a trick. That's a trick. Just get your boobs done before.
Well, that probably wasn't the expected side effect of going through all that. But I remember at the time I was just like, okay, this isn't too bad. But beyond that, we were talking about this earlier, but waking up in the middle of the night, one of the things that I didn't know that happens is my baby she struggled with eating like enough. So she would go stretches during the night where she wouldn't eat. We'd have to go in there and wake her up to feed her. which is a whole nother thing in itself. But my boobs would get so full because she would stay asleep and not be feeding often enough that like my skin would feel like it was ripping. And I remember like grabbing the little Haka pump on the side of the bedside table and like putting it on and trying to like hand pump just so I could like not feel and it's really funny when you're trying to like sneaky grab the breast pump in the middle of the night when your partner's sleeping and turn that thing on. And if you've never heard a breast pump go, they're like, womp, womp, womp. Like there's no such thing as privacy behind a curtain at work. Like there's like, it's very obvious what you're doing here, but doing that in the middle of the night to just like try to feel like my skin wasn't going to rip. Oh, it was.
Foods engorging so much that you actually start leaking through. So if you're at Whole Foods and you're walking down the aisle and you're like, oh my God, and your bed sheets are drenched in it, your pajamas soaked, so you need to constantly be feeding or they're going to explode.
So I wasn't personally breastfeeding. My mom was like, you ain't latching, you ain't going. So like, just take a milk bottle, right? So like, I'm always curious, why would you want, what is the nutritional value of breastfeeding compared to just like a bottle?
The baby gets antibodies from your milk. So my husband and I, of course, pandemic, we had her literally right before the pandemic started. My husband and I ended up getting sick, and he tested negative for COVID, but it was literally at the beginning. So later on he had the antibodies. So we're pretty sure he had COVID, and I caught it right after because I couldn't smell for 2 weeks. By breastfeeding her around the clock, she never got sick. She never even caught a cold. Literally her first year, she didn't get her first fever until certain teeth started growing in. So I attribute that to breastfeeding and her being able to get those antibodies. After a while, they like, again, I think breastfeeding.
After a year, yeah. It's really good for nutrients, apparently. There's certain nutrients you can't have in formula, but I mean, whatever works for that mom or whatever.
Maybe if Patricia would have breastfed me, I wouldn't be catching all these darn colds all the time. I gotta talk about this tonight.
Yeah.
We have a sit down meeting.
What about the stuff, I would say, like in the delivery room that you wish you would have known?
I wish I would have known that it's not like the movies where they have a tarp up there and like everybody's behind the curtain cheering you on. No, it is like you are full spread eagle, like your hoo-ha's out there, your partner is seeing everything. And I thought that they were gonna put a little blanket or something up. And I was telling the doctor, I'm like, no, like I don't want him to see. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to push right now. Come on. And I was like, no. Matt, like, don't look down there. And she literally took like a little rag and put it on my hoo-ha and was like, does that make you feel better, honey? And
oh shit.
I was like, all right, I get it. Let's just push and get this over with.
Point for me, I was just like, who hasn't seen my vagina in this room right now? Like, have you all seen it? Like, what's going on? And the great thing is my husband, he has a side hustle. He's a wedding videographer. He's like, where do you want me to put the cameras so that I get the good angle? He made the most tasteful, beautiful birth video. And I mean it because he's got like the little blurry signs on the nipples and things like that too. But it was beautiful. But during that first labor, I was like, honey, you make sure that camera's like behind my knees. I want to make sure there's no clear shots, but I want to kind of get and it's so funny because like when I was watching the footage after, I don't know, your sense of decency just goes out the window. Mm-hmm. And like for like, it was like 2 months after before I got a little coy again. But like this time I'm like, honey, I want to see. I'm so curious this time because I've been through it. I don't have the whole shame thing that I had the first time. I'm like, I actually want to see it happen this time.
I would be traumatized. Y'all are traumatizing me right now.
So they put a catcher inside of me to catch like the urine and things like that because I wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom for the first like 24 hours pretty much. The moment I went to the bathroom, I urined like for 10 minutes.
I bet it was the best of your life.
It was like capographed you. Yeah,
It was like a liter of pee that came out of me. And I was like, this is actually uncomfortable. Thankfully, my husband was a super trooper. He had to wipe me. He had to
That's a man. That's a king right there, what the kids say.
Bend over to do it. Like he would have to sit me in the toilet. And mind you, I was still bleeding. He would have to take this spray bottle that they gave him And it was a whole process. He would have to squirt the water on me and then dad like wipe me and then help walk me to the bed.
How long were you like this?
So like 3 days.
Okay.
Actually, I'm lying. He had to help me home. He had to help me when I got home. I literally had all of my intestines pulled, everything kind of pulled out of me for them to get her out. So like, and this is the craziest thing. The doctor, I'm doing the C-section, the doctor, I'm in this beautiful white room. It's like heaven, right? She's like, oh my gosh, these are the most beautiful abs I've ever had to cut through. And I'm like,
oh,
thanks.
no.
Thanks.
thanks. Like,
Thanks for ruining my ab work I have to have going on.